Okay, live from New York City. I'm supposed to have an interview right now with Lisa McDonald in Dundas, Ontario, Canada, who's an author, radio show host, and a mom. And what she isn't, apparently, is someone who can work hangouts on Google. So I'm just going to improvise this very, very fast. What I was going to ask Lisa, and I'm doing these every single week, so it's a little bit unfortunate she can't get on here. This is only my third. I've been on Hangouts with hundreds of people, so I'm guessing the challenge is at her end with something, possibly on the computer. I really don't know. We did do a run through on this, but what I was going to ask her is, you know, she's an author of children's books. I can't remember the name of the book, so I would plug it, but I just can't remember. I was going to ask her about her childhood. I was kind of curious to find out as to where what inspires someone to write children's books, because a lot of us know the story of J.K. Rowling with the Harry Potter series, and how, you know, she was a single stay-at-home mom, and from there became a billionaire. So, money aside, I was going to ask her about her childhood, about her travels, about her inspiration for her book, subject of the book, any other things. She's also a radio show host. So, you know, I think she was working in the social services sector or something along those lines. And what I was looking at is asking about her plans for the future as well, future books, future radio shows, but can't get her on the line, so I really don't know what to do. However, what I would say is this, okay? Situations happen in life, so we have to make the most of them. So what I've been doing over the last few weeks is interviewing a couple of people. Last week I had the delightful Calais Beeman on from Hollywood actress, author, and all-round good person. The week before I had the very entertaining and very informative Dov Baron on, and if you haven't seen that one, it's on this channel. It's on The Real Tony Cohen on YouTube. Well worth a watch. I will tell you right now on that one, if you are offended by things, do not watch it. He's the world leader on authentic leadership, and it's as real as it gets. So next week I will, I've already spoken with a few people about doing some other interviews, but if you're interested, if you've got something to say, if you've got something that people are interested in, if you've wrote books, if you've directed movies, if you're an actor, actress, whatever, you know what, get in touch with me. We can do an interview. In the interim, what I would say on the wrap-up of this is anyone can do what I'm doing. So, you know, years ago, the only way or the best way to get out of the #1 fear of the human race, which is not death, it's public speaking. The best way, they used to say, go to something like a Dale Carnegie public speaking course. Go to a, what they call it, Toastmasters or something like that.
Hey!
Oh, we're in! We're in! We can carry on! Fantastico! About time!
Oh my God!
How bad we were with technology, and I am the most inept person on the planet at it. So we're way behind schedule, and I was just running through the questions I was going to ask you.
Okay, well, we're here now. We're here now. It's old news. Let's move on. Okay,
right. Here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to go down the rabbit hole, down the career rabbit hole. Right, so really quickly, so I've got to cap this to an hour, and we are 30 minutes in. So, Lisa.
Tony.
Right, I've wrote, you know, I do these things, there's no prompting, there's no prep. This is about as unprepared as it gets because we couldn't even get it working correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever the situation was, it's rectified. So very quickly, tell us about you. You're an author, a radio show. Do you call yourself radio show host or a chat show host? What do you call it?
Either or, both the same.
Either or, both the same. Okay. I think Letterman would beg to differ, but okay, either or, both the same. And so, and you're a mom. And you know, I'm not putting anything any priority here, but you've just And when did you write? When did you release? Is that the right word? Your first book ever. When was that released?
My first book I picked up from the printers probably about going on 4 months ago now.
Okay.
And so within 4 months of picking up my first 1,000 copies, aside from what's in the bookstores on consignment, I've sold 1,000.
Well done. So listen, without going down rabbit holes, I'm trying to keep this on track. You've sold 1,000.
Okay.
Right. What's the name of that book?
That book is called Little Boy Gan from Passion-Filled Everland.
Okay. Do you have one there to show the camera or no?
They're all in the trunk.
Okay, no problem. Little Boy Gan from
Passion-Filled Everland.
Okay. Little Boy Gan. That's possibly why I couldn't remember the title. Okay. So and you correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have some other books lined up that are either going to print or being produced?
Yeah, I actually, as of this morning, actually, one of my partners, Ben, he uploaded to my Facebook page a copy of the picture of my second book, which is titled Reimburse the Universe. And so that now has the text on it. And thank you again to Janet Bray Atwood, who kindly issued and wrote the foreword. So that's going to be going off to print this week.
Cool. And if I have this right, is it a series of 4? Have I got that right?
There are 4. Okay. Correct.
Wonderful. So one thing I'm kind of curious on. They're all children's books, yeah?
These ones currently, yes. I'll be moving on to other types of writing.
Okay. So tell us about your childhood.
Pardon?
Welcome to the real live and
loaded question.
Tell us about your childhood.
Well, I just kind of immersed myself in sports. That's kind of how I got through my childhood. And I used to be a competitive swimmer. And one of the people that I used to swim with, she actually went on to the Olympics, Joanne Millar. She was phenomenal. So yeah, I swam for the Hamilton Wentworth Aquatic Club, and I swam for the Brantford Aquatic Club. Butterfly was my favorite stroke. Yeah, I hung out with friends. I did a lot of sports and did a lot of writing. I've written my whole life. And yeah, so it's a bit of a blur, Tony. Bit of a blur.
So the writing is something, if I've got this right, the writing is something you got into in your childhood, is that correct?
Yes, very early on in my childhood.
Okay.
And I used to write poetry as well, so it was a combination of poetry, short stories, just using my imagination, having fun with it. Okay.
And where do you think that came from? Are your family writers? Did you have a...
My family's actually quite creative. My dad's a former professional musician, and so back in the day he hailed from Glasgow, Scotland, did most of his writing and playing and gigging in London, England, and so he played with all the greats before the greats became the greats, and so yeah, he did that, and my mom used to be a bit of an artist. She was ambidextrous. She could draw, paint, whatever, with both her left and right hand. She used to write poetry as well, and she actually got on the radio and did some poetry contest type thing, and she won. So, I mean, there's a lot of creativity in my family. We're very determined folk. We're very competitive. You know, everything we aspire to do, we do, and hopefully I'd like to think quite well. And yeah, so that's kind of my roots.
Okay, well that's interesting, because it's it's always interesting to find out where it stems from with whatever anybody does. Last week I was speaking with Calais on her. She's an actress, and she said, like, at school she did an acting show, and Dog was curious again from a young age. This is kind of interesting. So
I just want to say I saw both those interviews. They were very well done.
Probably from the person being interviewed, not by me.
It was a good effort, joint effort.
Okay, brownie points for that one. You can.
Always.
Your first book, the one that's out now. What was not the motivation to write the book, but where did the actual subject matter come from? Is it based on somebody? Is it just something out the air? Is it something you've seen? Is it an experience you've had?
Uh, you know, the book kind of wrote itself, so I really couldn't tell you, like it just came on its own. But you know, it's a book that speaks to humility and connectedness and human kindness and passion and compassion. And although there's a lot of really great books out there, you know, at least in my time, this generation, I haven't seen many that speak to those types of combined subjects. It's either a subject on passion alone or compassion, but I really like the story, and it's actually doing quite well within the school system. The teachers are eating it up and incorporating it into some of their curriculum. And although it's a children's book by definition, based on the fact that it's illustrated, it's a message and it's a moral within the story that resonates and speaks to all age groups. And so I have people who have no children, no grandchildren, nieces or nephews, and they're buying it simply for themselves. Or there's a population of people who are buying it for their aged parents in seniors' homes and having it read in reading circles. People are buying it and reading it to their unborn child. So it's gone gangbusters, and I couldn't be more grateful. It's wonderful. It's actually taken off far more than I could have envisioned.
Well, yeah, I mean, it appears that way. When you say it wrote itself, so I'm working on a movie script.
Mm-hmm.
The term "working" is
A work in progress.
It's very loose,
Yeah.
and it's definitely not writing itself. Although it's in my head, and I know it, and I know all the dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay, there is no osmosis art that goes from my head onto paper yet. When you say wrote itself, why do you think that is? Is it based on life experience, or?
I think, you know, I think that it's a lot of it's for anything, not just book writing or script writing, but a lot of it I find is generated just from timing. And so, you know, when you're hungry enough and when you're passionate enough and when you've got the right mentors, the right tools, and you're aligned with where you feel you're at and you continually want to go, it just shows up. You know, I've said this before in a couple of my own videos, and I've said it on my radio show. And it truly does. And I really do have to give props to Janet Bray Atwood, again, one of my mentors, New York Times bestselling author twice over. And so I was a member of the Passion Test family, still am. And I read the book, The Passion Test, and the clarity, and truly it all comes with clarity. And that book really opened up the floodgates for me. And so based on the fact that that happened, it wrote itself.
Okay. So your other books that are lined up, the other three, one's going to print. Are they similar topics? Or is it a series? Do they stand alone? Do you have to
it's not a like a consecutive series where it's a carryover from the same characters within the same book going forward. It's really the first book, Little Boy Gan from Passion-Filled Everland. Gan is the main character. He's probably about 10 years old, and so it takes place in a forest, and it's, you know, the animals dialoguing with Gan and recognizing his humility and his demeanor and all of those things. So each animal comes forward and prompts him with the questions of, you know, Gan, how is it that you always have you know, a bounce in your step and things of that nature. So Gan's imparting his wisdom to the characters within the book, and then you see how the light bulb goes off for each of the individual characters and the message that resonates with them, and then what they then say to themselves and going forward, how they wish their own journeys to be. The second book, Reimburse the Universe, it's really our relationship with the universe. You know, what you put out there, you get back tenfold, hopefully if it's positive or negative. It's a choice. It always comes down to choice. So Reimburse the Universe is basically the relationship we have with the universe and the universe working throughout each and every one of us. And however you manifest that, however you interpret that, determines where you go in life.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to reading them, seeing as adults are allowed. I've got to ask you about something else.
Absolutely.
Your other new career, the radio show, chat show host. How on earth did you get into that?
That all resulted as from my website. So my partner Ben, I've got my two illustrative partners, Laura and Paul, married couple, fantastic. They've done amazing, amazing work on my books. Everyone's raved about the quality of their work, and so that's certainly attributed to the sales of my book. Ben, he's best friends with Paul and Laura, and so when I had hooked up with Paul and Laura to discuss, what else I could do marketing-wise for my books, especially knowing it was going to take 4 to 7 weeks at the printers. I really wanted to get things rolling and get it launched. And so Ben is their best friend. Ben's a web designer, fantastic web designer. I've recommended him to a few people, actually, who've been seeking out web designers. And in my discussions with Ben, I said that I would also like to launch an ebook version for each of my 4 books. So the ebook version for my first book obviously went up just as the hard copy was going to the printers. So that kind of built some momentum. And quite truthfully, from what Ben has shared with me, and he's a wizard with all of this, he has said that prior to my book having been launched through ebook version, he'd never seen a children's book actually sell through ebook. And mine sold, and it sold extremely well, actually. And so I'm imagining and hoping the same will happen for the other 3. So as a result of my website, I then was sought out by Cameron Steele. He came across my website, and he saw my contact information that was listed, and he reached out to me. It sent me a really kind email and asked me if I'd ever considered hosting my own show, which obviously to that point I had not. So I was in discussions with Cameron, and we finalized some timelines, and we said that we would establish this up and running in early 2015. So here we are, and last Friday was my first segment, and so Fridays, 11 o'clock, 11:04 actually to be precise, Eastern Standard Time is when I go live, and that's through the Contact Radio Network, CTR.
Okay. So people can find that online straightforward enough, I take it.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. On that, what's the purpose of the radio shows? Is it are you interviewing people? Are you?
Well, the whole show, because there's quite a few hosts aside from myself, but the whole show itself, the station, is premised under personal empowerment. So each host really has carte blanche with whatever they want to do under the umbrella of personal empowerment. So you're welcome to have guests. You're welcome to open up the lines for questions. You can speak strictly by yourself, however you choose to do it. So with last week having been my first segment, I really just wanted to do an introduction of self, put myself out there, get people accustomed to who I was, familiarized with who I am. And yeah, so I will be building up a roster of guests as we go, and I've certainly, at the end of my first show, I let people know where they could contact me if they had any questions, or if they were interested in certain subject matters, or if they wanted to be a guest on my show. So I think once people get familiar with who I am, that will start to ramp up a bit.
That's that's generally how it happens. I've seen the same with these interviews and YouTube in general. Okay, we'll mention it right at the end when we wrap up, that how someone can find you. So, radio show host, author. What else is coming?
Well, that's really occupying quite a bit of my time. Every other weekend, I'm pretty much booked with book signings at Chapters and Indigo and Coles. So some weekends I've been very fortunate that I've had book signings both on Saturday and Sundays. It's just been maybe a couple of weekends where I've only had one book signing. So the book signings every other weekend are keeping me busy. Marketing's keeping me busy. Right now I'm in negotiations and talks with corporate for my books, so that would include Walmart, Toys R Us, Mastermind Toys, and a couple of other stores. So my books are in independent bookstores as well as some of the bigger chains. But my intent this year is to get picked up by an agent or a publisher or a publishing company. So I'm just, I'm just going with the momentum. My hands are full. I've got lots going on. Thoroughly enjoy it. Love the variety of both the radio and the books. I've also been sought out to do some keynote guest speaking. So I have something coming up March 1st in Cambridge. And I've been interviewed in magazines, and there's a couple of other people who we're just in some discussions right now about further articles being written and whatnot. So it's going really, really well. I'm really happy. I'm grateful to my team. I'm grateful to everybody who's taken an interest in me and my work, who has sought me out. And I just want to say thank you. I'm really, really grateful.
Just to clarify there, okay, when people say they're speaking at Cambridge, all right, the YouTube goes beyond Southern Ontario.
Sorry, Cambridge, Ontario.
Just clarifying. Yeah, okay. I knew. Okay. Those people in England watching this right now are probably going, wow, wow, Cambridge already, in months. How do we do this? So, okay, I know I'm not going to go into your previous career because time flies. Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give for anyone now if they want to become? I mean, you've come from what's what I'm looking for? The surroundings of creativity.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, or a foundation of creativity. Not everyone does, you know.
True.
So what? Because there's lots of people out there that have, you know, the dream of writing the book or being on TV or being something. I mean, these days celebrity culture is easy. Yeah, whole different thing. But yeah, becoming something.
Right.
So you know the steps you took to start.
Yes.
And I don't just mean putting a pen to paper.
You know, I know where you're going with this. I'll just say it quite simply because it doesn't matter about your roots. It doesn't matter about whether creativity runs in your family. It really is about attitude. For me, everything is about attitude, and you truly have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And you know, you need to really hone in on what it is you believe you're meant to do, and you need to simply do it. And you know that incorporates obviously aligning yourself with the right people, comfortably getting uncomfortable, putting yourself out there, you know, sponging up as much as you can that's specific to your passion. You know, whether it be referrals, talking to whomever knows whomever. You just, and it really comes from, like, I'm just very driven. I'm a very, very extremely driven person, and no matter what it was at different stages in my life that I felt I was very passionate about, I did well because it was non-negotiable for me that if I was going to spend my time, invest my energy, you know, and a lot of things that I've done in my life have had a very grueling schedule. And so for me to give up that kind of time and take it away from perhaps something else that I also enjoyed, you know, it was non-negotiable for me that I had to do well, and that I had to perform and outperform myself. And see, and I say that to people as well. I think people get hung up on comparing themselves to other people, other people's stories, other people's journeys, other people's what they view to be instantaneous overnight success. And truly, it's not. You only see the people and their names being recognizable when they've mastered or honed what it is that they excel at. But people don't understand the journey necessarily unless they do the research and know the person well enough to know that they're researchable, to find out all the failures, all the frustrations, all the sense of defeat that perhaps came in their path. But if you persevere, if you believe in yourself, if you get very clear within yourself what it is you believe you're meant to do, and you hone it, and you practice, 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 and as you said in your video earlier this morning, which I've heard before, because you know you find out these things when you read the right material and channel your energies in the right direction. It really is the top 5 people. So who is it that thinks like you? Who is it that has the same drive as you? Who is it that is as hungry as you? And then you align yourself with those people. And the more that you do the right things continue to show up. And it's really that simple.
Yeah, You know, there's a lot of people out there sitting and waiting for the universe to align everything with them. You can, as far as I'm concerned, you can sit and wait your whole life until you get off your ass and do something about it.
Very true.
People, and this seems to be a pattern of the first 3 interviews. Everyone seems to, with no connection, agree on one thing. It's, you know, getting out there and networking networking, and, you know, see the people, as they say. Go and see the people. So, I think I've covered everything we need to cover for now. We can always do more of these. Lisa, I feel you're at the start of your journey and the start of something new, and we've spoke off air about your previous career, which, to be honest, it's not that interesting. Okay.
You know what? It really was, and I've met a lot of phenomenal people.
Okay. All right. To you, maybe.
And you know what? I needed to have that as part of my journey to be where I am now. It's all connected. It's all interconnected.
I hear you on that one. I hear you on that completely. It's, you know, one of my things is adversity is life's greatest motivator. Now, not your journey. I'm not going there. It's not adversity, but often we have to see the opposite. You know, we have to work in the factory. We have to dig the ditch before we realize that's not what we want to do. So very often, to find out where we want to go and what we want to do,
absolutely.
By default, we find it by doing the opposite and find out what we don't like doing.
And oftentimes it is the process of elimination, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if someone wants one of these books now, they get off this now, get off this call right now, they're watching, there's people watching you right now. Where, assuming they're not in Canada, because you mentioned a few stores in Canada, is your book...
I don't assume anything.
Are your books available in, well, statistically, there's less chance of them being in Canada than the whole rest of the planet combined.
I've been shipping all over the world, Tony. You know, as long as people are aware of my website, which is lisamcdonaldauthor.com, and McDonald is McDonald. The information is there. I've been shipping to the UK. You know, so I've been doing province in province, out of state. So whoever shows an interest, we can ship.
Is it at the moment, bearing in mind we're now in early February 2015, is it available on Amazon or?
I believe the ebook versions of my book are. So I actually should know the answer to that. I think I've been asked that before, and I don't know that it's on Amazon other than the ebook version. Okay. And again, and see, you find out as you go. So I, being a self-published author, I'm not widespread as much as I'm planning on being once I get picked up. Once I get picked up, then it's all over.
It's all over.
It's all over.
So if you're wandering around Ontario at a book signing somewhere, pick up Lisa. She needs help.
Lisa's doing quite well, but thanks.
Lisa, we're going to wrap this. Okay.
Wow, that was the quickest hour of my life.
Don't even go there. That is so tempting, but you're a children's author. Just remember that, okay?
I do.
Yeah, all right. Don't take me down that one, okay?
Yeah.
This is not...
You know, I tend to think you could take yourself down that one quite easily by yourself with no help.
This is not a Baron type interview. I'm
but why not?
I'm holding back on my expletives, and I'm being politically correct to a degree. So, listen, we're going to wrap it.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to ask me just before we...
How's your eye?
Sorry, who are you?
How are you doing? How's life for you? Tell me about you. Tell me about the real Tony Cohen. What's going on for you?
What's going on for me? Just keep sprinkling that magic. I don't know how. I don't know where it comes from. It's just there. I go out. I have coffee. I talk to people. I just randomly talk to people. I'm being interviewed in an hour. I have no idea what for. Can we interview you for something? Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, no idea. Not got a clue. Never met the guy. Don't care. But you know, life kind of works like that. this is not an interview with me, but what I would say is the pattern I'm seeing is the people that are the most interesting, the ones that just get off their ass, go and talk to anyone, random strangers, do things, and get on with it. And on that, because I don't want to turn this into the Tony Cohen show, it's all about you, Lisa. Someone wants to reach you, they get you on lisamcdonaldauthor.com. That's correct?
Correct.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you for your time, and I'm sorry for all the debacles on my end here.
I'm all about the debacles. I think, personally, your handling of Google Hangouts, don't write a book on that. For what you know. Okay.
Hey, you learn something new every day, right?
Yeah. How to test Tony's patience when he's sat on a camera. Got it. So, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for watching. If you're watching this live, watching the interview, the real Tony Cohen here in New York City. Thanks again, folks. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Have a great day. Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome, Lisa. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.